Dear McLaren and Oscar Piastri, thank you.
I feel bad for Hamilton fans. If only he had qualified better.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blatantly Biased Podcast. Yeah. Hey, how's things, man? Did you see the image of him afterwards?
Which image?
Well, not the image, but the video of him, like he was looking at the timing screen and then he kind of turned
Being
and
very,
shook his
very
head.
pissed off. Yeah, I don't understand why he was, but yeah, we'll get into that bit as well.
Yeah.
The tires are gone, then they're not gone. Who are we
Yeah.
kidding?
Also, like, they were like, box. He's like, I don't want a box. Box. It's like, I don't want a box. Box. It's like, why didn't you just stay out? Like, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't get that. It's like, why didn't he just like go override it and stay
the
out?
brake boosted guy, you might have seen on X. He's basically the Ferrari fan. He's basically Dr. Obbs, but for Ferrari. In a way. So let's jump into that already. We'll get to the other bits later. First of all, hello everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Bias podcast. Finally,
Well done.
Yeah, great job.
Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast.
Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. If you're old, drop a comment, say hi. We'll talk about other stuff and you can drop comments later as well. Yeah, so the Lewis Hamilton thing, let's touch on it first. Apparently, when if you might be remembering, in the second stint, Lewis went off in I think it was turn 3 where he went off, and the gap started ballooning between him and Charles. So it was around 8.5 or something. It started at around 5. It jumped to 8.5, and on team radio, apparently he was consistently saying that his tires are overheating. That's why the gap is increasing, because he was told to pick up the pace and be closer to Charles. So that was what he was saying. And apparently, according to that, Ferrari basically planned out that, okay, at this particular point, we have 20 laps left. Let's just put both the drivers and
which everybody did anyway.
P3. Yeah, let's basically have a P3, P4. It's already locked in by basically screw things up, which is
I mean, the only other option is, like, as I think it was Coulthard was saying on the F1 Live, he was like, if you're going to finish P4 anyway, it's probably worth just sticking it out and seeing in case something happens.
Yeah, but what's the point? You know? Why are you trying to create a battle between the two teammates?
No, I know, but I mean in terms of like just jumping the McLarens, but it's like it's not going to work anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there was
why Lewis was doing it. I think we both know why he was doing it, because he saw an opportunity to maybe try something different and beat Charles that way.
Charles was far enough ahead that, to be honest, like after Charles pitted, like he would have been 6 or 7 seconds behind if he had tried that. And I really think on those brand new mediums compared to the worn out hards, he would have got that 6. Yeah, he would have got there, no problem, you know?
Yeah. But the thing is, even it's not even that. It's basically, the thing is, the team has it's not only about team, it's the transparency. The team has already decided that both the drivers will be on the same strategy. Unless Charles was expecting Lewis to be his competitor, he might have pushed a bit harder on his stint, right?
Yeah.
That would have been the case.
The car just wasn't there. Like, you know, it just wasn't there. So they were lucky, to be honest, that Max wasn't there as well, you know? Like, that was the simple part of it. But yeah.
That was a hot... If this was basically, you can say, a throwback to the early Mercedes dominance years, where it was as clear as day that there was no one that's going to come between the two. No. Right? Because the gap was just too big.
Yeah.
We're
going to jump to McLaren, I guess, first then? Let's
jump to McLaren, because I read an article from Mark Hughes where he said that apparently the upgrades that have been brought by McLaren, because McLaren has also been bringing upgrades.
Yeah.
Apparently it has made the car more well-rounded compared to the others, and the glitchy stuff is gone.
Yeah.
Now, once that happens, it makes it easier to access the performance that's there. And that's what is happening right now. That's why you see the kind of gaps that it was able to pull. Plus, it's as soon as the tires begin overheating, there's no team that comes close. The closest is Red Bull, as we've seen in both Miami and in Barcelona. So maybe they had a chance to do something, but
Yeah. I really still think, like, even if we'll talk about Max later on, but I think if he had stayed in the race, like, it would have been a podium at best. Like, it would have been a third place. There's no,
no one was touching the McLaren.
No, not today.
No one was getting close. Once the temperatures reached around, it crossed 50 apparently. And remember, both George and Alonso were saying that it's before the start of the race that it's becoming way too hot.
Yeah.
And once that happened, there was no
McLaren.
chance.
This was perfect for the McLarens. You know, I had a little bit of hope before the race that the Red Bull would maybe have the straight line speed. I guess we didn't get to see that anyway. So, you know, I just don't think it was going to.
Yeah, when I checked, my initial impression was that Red Bull should have an edge on that front. Plus, it is decent enough when it comes to the
high speed corners. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Sector 3 would also not be a concern. But we never really got, throughout the weekend, we never really got to see the true potential of Red Bull.
Yeah. I mean, even in qualifying trim, like, even without the yellow flag, Max was still looking at like a P3 anyway, maximum, really, you know.
Front row.
So
he was looking at a front row because
I would say probably
might
P3.
Have beaten, actually, no, he would not have beaten Leclerc because Leclerc was faster than him until the second sector when both had to lift. So,
Yeah.
P3, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the good news though is we do have a title fight. It's just not seemingly doesn't look like it's going to be including any other teams other than McLaren now. The good news is that it does.
Finally, I've thrown the towel in when it comes to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I still don't want to absolutely count out Max, but
I'm counting him out now. We'll talk about that bit a bit later, but for now at least, it's
the two McLarens, right? The good news is that this front wing update does seem to, as you said, balance the car out a bit more, and it seems like Lando is immediately becoming a little bit more comfortable in the car.
Yeah.
So I think there's a good chance we will actually get like an Oscar Lando fight throughout the year, which this season is like last season in some ways, where it's like every single weekend we're jumping from, that's it, it's over, to, oh, you know what, this might be back on. It's like every single weekend.
Yeah, but I have a slightly different theory when it comes to that. I think what this weekend showed was that even on an off weekend, Oscar is still going to hassle Lando like anything.
Yeah.
While Lando's off weekends are worse.
Yeah.
So maybe there is something to that because, okay, first of all, why Lando apparently made that giant leap? Because frankly, what he did in qualifying was next level.
Yeah, because even without the yellow flag, he was still miles ahead of everybody.
Already on pole, and his first lap was good enough for pole.
Yeah.
His second lap was 0.3 quicker than his first lap, which is stunning. Just something that I think just something that we expected from him from the start of the season, but
this is the Lando that I expected to see this season straight away. Yeah.
And that's what we saw. And according to both McLaren and Lando to a certain extent, they brought a new front wing upgrade or a modification in Canada.
Yeah.
It seemed it was specifically for Lando. What they've said is that it was to give drivers a bit more feel at the front.
Yeah.
And Oscar did not like it. He didn't like the feel of it.
Yeah.
Lando went with it, and we didn't really get to see much of it in Canada in terms of how he would do in qualifying. Here he was pretty much a man on a mission, and was it again? We still need to see a few races because we don't know a couple of things. First, was it because of Austria, because Lando is brilliant in Austria?
Yeah.
Or was it because maybe Oscar had a bad day in qualifying and just couldn't really hook things up?
So, I don't know though, like his confidence in the car though, even that's what gives me a lot of like hope that maybe he can stick in this fight, because the main reason is not even the pace, because to be honest, like the pace is kind of like, this is what Lando should have been fucking doing from the start anyway, pace wise. Like this is what we know he's capable of. Where I was getting a bit antsy was when Oscar was putting pressure on him into the corners. the main thing where Oscar I've seen has been like way better than Lando is Oscar has complete confidence in the car almost. Like it's still tricky for him at points. You can see like the rear end sliding, braking points, different things from both drivers. And Oscar's just been more comfortable with it. But like when Oscar was doing lunges to try and like take Lando was braking late to hold him off and still making the corner perfectly. And that tells me that like that was the main issue Lando was having. He was having to be told, watch the braking markers. Like, you know, basically his normal feel for braking was off. So he was having to be told, like, watch the markers, you know, that kind of shit. So I think clearly this means he's actually got confidence now that when he brakes and turns, is going to do what he expects. And I think that's a big thing. Like, you know, as soon as a driver has to think in a car, it's almost game over. Like, you just can't drive. Every Red Bull driver has basically said that's their biggest issue in Red Bull recently, is that, like, I need to think the entire time while driving, so I'm immediately slow. And if Lando is at a point now where he's actually just able to drive as he wants to drive without having to think, then it should be game on. And it's not the pace that has that idea in my head. It is just he looked confident in the braking zones, which means he seems to be kind of confident that, okay, the car is going to do what I want. And if that is the case, then Oscar may still win it in a lot of other areas, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. It's not going to be Oscar just running away with this, you know. But it's been one race, and a week ago we said Lando was out. So let's maybe give it a couple more weeks. But it's a good step in the right direction, you know.
Yeah. First, let's talk from Lando's perspective, because I think it's important that he had a lot of questions when he came into this weekend, isn't he? Because it's not only us writing him off; it's almost
everyone.
It was
and him.
And I think almost you can say that, look, Lando has his detractors. They are a different breed, but even when it came to his supporters, as Peter said last time around, that a lot of his supporters also said that, yeah, this is it. We are jumping off the wagon. And this what he did this weekend is something you expect. You expect from someone like Lewis Hamilton, Vettel, Alonso, all these guys, where they have a bad weekend, where they have a tremendous low, and then they bounce back from it and just dominate next time around. I won't say he dominated this weekend, but he bounced back. This is a bit of a statement where he could have had another bad weekend, another weekend similar to what he had in China, or a lot of others, where he fucks up qualifying, then basically makes up for it in the race and finishes P2 behind Oscar, who's just managing things at the front. Yeah, that is not the case. He put basically what it was, a statement pole position, half a second all over almost everyone else. Now that puts you in a strong place. For me, however, the biggest test was when it came to the wheel-to-wheel battle, because Oscar was not relenting at any point in time. No. And even when Oscar jumped him, when he overtook him into turn 3, Lando basically just braked a bit earlier and used used better traction to just at that very moment he made the judgment and made the call that he was going to be on the inside, and he had the DRS and he just used it to basically keep the position.
Even his car placement at various points, like, you notice straight away, he like it was genuinely impressive, because like when Oscar was behind him, he never kind of did what a lot of times he would do, which is like defend free air, and then Oscar gets like a lunge somewhere. But then when he knew that Oscar was close enough that Oscar could make a dive, he started covering the inside perfectly as well. And, you know, knowing that if Oscar gets a chance to go on the inside, he will. And the only time really that Oscar got a chance to was when Oscar lunged really late and almost took the two of them out.
Boy, and you could if that had happened, I mean, if both of them had a double DNF, just imagine. Well, first of all, it would have been a Ferrari 1-2, which would have been epic.
Insane, yeah. George Russell on the podium again, which just ridiculous.
George Russell would have been on the podium, yeah. And who would have been P3?
George would
have been P3.
George would have been P3, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, that's still a shocker.
But like
in that case, even that's basically top 3 drivers in the championship all going out having a DNF.
Well, that moment though is what I think, if you go back the whole way, kind of ruined Oscar's race basically, because he essentially had a flat spot after that, and he couldn't do any pace to kind of make up for the undercut then, so that was just that then, basically.
But he still came back.
Yeah, he did. But I think like if he hadn't have had that flat spot in that lap.
But were you surprised with the way? First of all, one thing that became very clear is that both the garages are working independently here.
Yeah,
which is very weird.
I have to say,
even Mercedes did not have that. If you
no,
remember.
And you know what? I have to say, like the fact that we may only get a 2-horse race during this, I really like the fact that they've basically gone like, and we saw, we've seen glimpses of this, right? The fact that the two sides are actually working fully, against each other, which is just, it's a cool setup to go through. We saw this a couple of weeks ago when it was like, in Canada, wasn't it? When William Joseph came over and was like, get him now, like put him under pressure now. And it's just strange.
For the taking,
yeah, it's strange to hear that intra-team battle. But it is cool that they're kind of going, no, look, we're clear of the constructors now. So you guys work with your teams and all bets are off, and the pit wall is kind of going to just come in, the pit wall being the head guys at McLaren. Stella and Zach Brown and those guys basically coming in and saying, look, happy for you to fight, but like, what was it? They were like, Piastri, don't make that move again. Like, that's too far.
That's going over the limit.
Which is a fair, everyone, like, I think it was, I was Jolyon Palmer and Coulthard again on F1 Live were like, oh, I don't like that. You can't come on and tell him not to. And I was like, you kind of can though, because that's not like an aggressive move. That's just you almost took both cars out. Mistake. So it's like, look,
desperation.
Calm down a bit.
I think, but I also understand what David and Jolyon were saying. Cause
I do, but I think
the timing was wrong, isn't it? Because there's already a 3 or so second gap between the two, and the whole thing is basically in the past. Why pick it up right now? Because and not wait until both of them are going wheel to wheel again. Yeah, just to be on the safe side.
It's a fair point. But I think I can see where McLaren's coming from there too, where it's basically like, look, happy for you to race, but just don't hit each other, because
it does seem like it, right? That there's a hierarchy that they've created where driver and his race engineer, they are independent to do anything that they want. Yeah. But then there's this, the person at the top, which is basically the Stella or whoever is in the top management. What he's doing is he's making sure that they don't go over the limit. Yeah. Which is fine, which I understand it's not a...
I think as well, there's probably very few drivers you could do this with, though. Like, very few top-tier drivers you could do this with. Because, like, if you had a clear number 1 and number 2, you can't really do it anyway, because you're constantly going
to... There's no point.
There's no point in that situation. But, like, if you had a Max and Lando in there, like, like, Jos and Max are in
teammates.
There. Yeah. Or, sorry, if you had Lando and Max together as teammates in this situation, Lando or Max and Jos are pulling like people over. They're complaining about it the whole time. It's not working.
Max is not going to listen to the team's wishes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And Max, more so Jos as well is going to be in there.
These guys are world champions, and once you become that, you have a certain level of authority.
And that's a good point that you've just made. Like, will they be able to do this if one of those drivers is a world champion next year?
Yeah, because that is a very important question.
Yeah.
If we are talking about Mercedes, I think we'll get to that bit later, because first, I think there's one thing I really wanted to touch on, because I was super impressed by Oscar.
Is it his team radio at the end? No.
Oh, that was funny. What was it? I don't remember.
He said Alpine are still managing to fuck me after 3 years.
Fuck me over after so many years.
Absolutely fantastic. Like, really good.
What was Franco Colapinto doing? I have no idea. I think he didn't see the mirror.
He clearly didn't. I think he was he clearly didn't, whatever way it was. I'm guessing he was so focused on Tsunoda because the two of them were having a bit of a crazy one.
I think what happened is the blue flags were for Yuki.
Yeah.
Because I think Yuki was behind, if I'm not wrong. And Colapinto did not know that there was a car that was going to lap them. Maybe that's the misjudgment that happened.
But he definitely, there's no way he was...
There wasn't a red mist moment.
There's no way he was trying to force Oscar onto the grass. Just, he was clearly following... Yeah, he was clearly focused on following Tsunoda through. And, Yeah,
slipstream.
I'd say just like not to. It was a stupid move, and I'm glad he got a penalty for it because it's deserved. Like even as a
very
call-up
lenient, by the way. Very,
Yeah.
very lenient.
there was. I need to read the document because, as we know now, the menu of items
please go
are.
through it and let me know
Yeah.
because
But
I
I
can't be
assume
asked.
it's 10
That's why I
second
said-
minimum.
By the way, that's why I sent it to you because I know you are going to go through it.
Oh, you know,
and then
I'm
just
gonna
share
like
the
spend.
cliff notes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. You know, I'm gonna become like a basically a steward because I love that shit. It's
Yeah.
really entertaining. But yeah, from what I could see of a brief glance of it the other day, it's 10 seconds unless there's mitigating circumstances. So I would imagine that there's some mitigating circumstance where they've seen like the actual helmet cam.
But pushing
and
the
it's
driver off, I think it's 5 seconds. The first offense is 5 seconds
maybe,
and
maybe.
one penalty point. I
Maybe.
think I read this one because I asked a writer to cover it.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's basically that this is the in the FIA doc, the first infringement of pushing a driver off is this.
Yeah.
I think it should have been more because he did it to the race leader. Fucking, that's zero sense of awareness. But anyway,
Yeah.
leaving the Alpine aside, why I love what Oscar did this weekend is, first of all, my initial impression after Lando he dominated everyone in qualifying on Saturday was, I think we are looking at a repeat of Zandvoort in Singapore last season,
Mhm.
where he just drove off and there was no one that's going to come near him. The race was entirely different.
Yeah.
The race was entirely different because I think it's safe to say that Oscar was the faster driver.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a controversial opinion in
No,
any
during
which
the
way.
race, definitely not. Yeah, I would agree with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And the fact, and not only that, the way he approached it, because I'll ask you, if the roles are reversed and you have Oscar leading and Lando behind him, would you see Lando being this belligerent behind Oscar from lap 1 until the end of the first stint?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He showed championship mettle there, and I don't think it is something that it's these little things, right? Where when it comes to doing something on these lines, and maybe to a certain extent having the wherewithal to not have a meltdown when something like something similar to what happened to him by Colapinto actually occurs. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
good. It's good. It's good. I think when it comes to the overall package, Oscar is slowly becoming one.
Mhm.
And the fact that he was actually faster than Lando here, I think I'd still say advantage Oscar, but it's gotten a bit closer this time
Yeah, I
around.
mean, like, you know, I think the fact that Oscar still made that step over the winter and where he is now, and the fact that he's able to, like, the main thing for me was as well, to be honest, it's just everything about his race pace management too, because normally during the end of a stint, Lando is faster, and that's just been a constant. Even this season, when Lando's been the slower driver, the final parts of a stint, Lando is just genuinely quicker every single time. Even in Miami, for example, when Oscar was up the road, same thing. So I think the fact that Oscar was like quicker at the final part of the stint, another just sign of just Oscar has just made this big step up, and I think it is just a big step up.
Big jump.
Yeah,
Now-
like you gotta say, like, for Lando, you gotta think about it in terms of very unfortunate for him. No, just of all seasons, this is the one where Lando or Oscar makes the jump. You know, like
I mean,
Lando
after
must have
keeping
been
him
thinking,
under
yeah,
basically keeping him under his boot for 2 years and dominating him, and then
but also
as
just
soon as
like
the car comes in,
how long Lando has sat in a midfield car waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
And then like finally gets there and he hasn't got Daniel Ricciardo like in 7th, you know, like he's got a teammate who's just as fast as him. It's
I mean,
awkward, yeah.
There are other drivers that would be thinking this way, right? People like
Yeah.
another young British talent, because George is also, I think he'll be sitting there and I think after Canada he got a reality check where Toto didn't bring the contract and said sign it. So yeah.
Which we'll
Let's
talk
see.
about, yeah, ridiculous. Yeah.
One thing I actually wanted to ask about Lando's strategy. Do you think as soon as Oscar had that flat spot, Lando should have continued with the first stint?
No, I think it was a good idea to stop there.
Tell me
Yeah.
why.
Because the undercut was working around here, I think.
Yeah, but what undercut did is it gave it gave Oscar a clean slate of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if in those next 2 to 3 laps where Lando would have taken the advantage of the fact that Oscar had a flat spot and basically pulled out a couple of seconds of lead and then pitted, then you have an entirely different race where maybe Oscar could never reach him.
Yeah, maybe.
I just feel that maybe they could have taken the advantage of the fact that Oscar was compromised on the set of tires that he had.
I think they probably just knew that, like, okay, he's flat spotted his tires, so he's coming in this lap or next lap. Like, he's not happy because he was complaining over the radio.
You think they'll allow Oscar to have the undercut over Lando?
No, and that's
that's
my point though. I think that his engineers knew, like, if we don't come in this lap, Oscar's coming in this lap because he's complaining over the radio. So I think Oscar would have been like, I'm coming in. So I think Will Joseph and that side of the garage knew, like, he's coming in, so it's safer for us to basically force him to stay out for at least another lap on tires he's complaining about. So, and then as soon as they come in, regardless, you're triggering it. Like, it's so. I think it was the pragmatic move. Like, why the only unsafe thing would be, like, if a safety car came out that lap or something, they would have been screwed. But sure, you can't plan for that anyway.
Yeah,
So,
but it was fine. I think overall, I think it's now 15 points. That's the gap between the two.
Yes, yeah, down from 22 to 15.
Silverstone. Yeah,
Silverstone, and then we have. Do we have 2 more after that before the break, right? We have Hungary and Spa before the break. Then
we have a couple of weeks off, and then we have a couple of weeks of races, and then we have 4 weeks off.
We have 3 weeks off, a double header, then 4 weeks off, right? Yeah. Something
3
like
weeks
that,
off.
Yeah. So, which is a fucking ridiculous nightmare. But anyway.
Yeah. Plus, then there's a 24 race calendar. I don't understand how they've actually built this one. Why they have a 3-week gap and you're between.
It was the same
European
last
races.
year, I think, right? With Singapore.
It was
and
incorrect.
the year. Yeah.
It was
it doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't just do, like, Silverstone this week, or put a 2-week gap between Silverstone, so you've got 2 weeks. But it is what it is.
Great job. FI or F1, whoever it is. Yeah. Anyhow, next up, I think it's time to say goodbye to title number 5 for Max Verstappen. I think this is it. It's over.
Yeah, it's going to be very, 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 very hard for him, isn't it, to come back in any way here whatsoever. Like, I just don't see a way back.
It's done.
Because, like, unless it seems like the McLaren has only gotten quicker, first of all. So that, like, the idea of Red Bull actually physically catching up to them is, first of all, the problem. And then the other thing is, like, I just don't see a world in which Max could overcome that gap in points. It's 60 points now, right?
Yeah,
like, he would have
points.
But he'd need a faster car, basically.
That's the problem.
And, like,
I think he can win the race in Silverstone, and I think he can win the race in Spa. These are the 2 races that he can and he should ideally win.
Yeah.
For me, the worry is entirely with his mindset, because I don't think he's all there. And I think
he didn't seem interested this weekend at all, did he? He just kind of was like, it's over.
Yeah. And it's... I think I pinged you as well, right? That the vibes are off.
Yeah.
I think it...
Yeah.
I might be completely off the market, but I think he's mentally checked out of 2025 for one reason or the other. Either he's already decided that he's moving to Mercedes, or he's thinking about it hard, or whatever it is. Because, look, if you're trying to fight for a championship, there has to be a level of, you can say, commitment or something, where you push the team or you try to send the right message to the team.
Mm-hmm.
And since Barcelona, I felt that Max Verstappen kind of threw in the towel, where it's a bit like
even in Canada, he didn't seem to put George under much pressure at all. Like, like, I know the Mercedes was the quicker car in Canada, like, but it was close enough that while I don't think there's any way he's winning that race, I was expecting him to, at least for a first lap or two, to really pile pressure on George, which you would expect.
He kind of did, but
I think not to his usual, like, even at the start, like, not to his usual kind of, I'm going to just go for it here.
Yeah.
It was kind of like an acceptance of, yeah, second's the best I'm going to get this week. It's very un-Max-like, you know.
Yeah.
And this weekend even more so. Like, I saw people tweeting like, "Oh well, Jesus, I wouldn't want to be Antonelli in that car or whatever," you know. Like,
Which
but
car?
Max, when the two of them hit each other, when
Yeah.
Antonelli hit Max, right?
Yeah.
Antonelli was sitting in the car, and people were joking like, "Oh well, Antonelli's not going to want to get out of the car." But Max's body language, as soon as he got out, he wasn't furious. Like, he just you could tell straight away he was just waiting to kind of talk to Antonelli, like, to make sure everything was all right. It wasn't like I'm going to kill this guy when he gets out. Now, maybe if it was George in the other car, would have been a different situation. But he didn't seem angry about it. He was just kind of like, yeah.
Even after qualifying, the yellow flag basically cost him a front row or a second row.
Yeah.
It was, that was unfortunate. And look, I don't doubt his commitment when it comes to the race weekend, where he basically what the thought process that he has is he'll turn up to a race weekend, he'll try his hardest, and whatever comes. But the problem is, when it is whatever comes, it means you're not targeting the best possible result.
Yeah.
And once you stop doing that, it shows. Because again, I've been covering the entire Red Bull situation since the start of the season, and one thing that has been there that has kind of rankled a bit, it's just the fact that even when Max wins a race or does well, while Christian Horner is bloody optimist and he's basically punching above his weight and saying that we are going to fight, we are going to put everything in place, we are going to fight for the title. You have Helmut Marko also doing the same thing, and then Max comes in and says, no, there's no title.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, it's deflating, and the entire team would feel that way when someone like a Max Verstappen says that no, the title is not on, and while they are working hard. And I think this is something, the biggest contrast for me was, I think you might have not seen it because that quote has aged poorly. There's this Austrian outlet where Horner gave an interview. It was a few hours before qualifying, where he said that we are planning to make the McLaren fans cry on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
cry.
The quote that.
Well, he did cry with laughter, perhaps.
And but it was not
Sonoda
only that.
Was losing to Alpines.
Jesus Christ!
I
mean, he also had a shitty race. But the thing is, if you listen to the interview and you look at the entire quotes, it's a man who's trying to go to war. I mean, I'm being very, very, you can say, descriptive on that sense. But
yeah,
he talks about the fact that, okay, we are bringing upgrades here. We are going to bring another upgrade in Silverstone and then another set in Spa. We have planned upgrades for the 15th and 16th race of the season. We are not going down without a fight. That was his entire thing. And then you have your lead driver come in and say, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's where the resonance is missing, I think. And again, look, the car is tough. It's not the fastest. It is 3/10 off. Everything is fine and everything is understandable. There's a basic thing when it comes to, okay, we're going to turn up every race. We're going to try and accumulate points, but at the same time, try and keep the hopes alive. The positivity is not there. And the reaction from Max this entire weekend was, who cares?
Yeah.
I win, great. I don't win, fine. I'm not winning the title. He's already thrown in the towel, and we are in 11th race of the season. There are 13 more races.
Yeah.
13 more races, and if somehow miraculously things change in terms of Red Bull has a better car or the Honda power unit improves or something, he's going to regret these races, because maybe he'll feel, again, he will never say it publicly, but maybe he might feel that maybe I could have done more. Maybe the positive reinforcement should have been there. And I think it's maybe the end is near when it comes to the Red Bull and
maybe he's already made his decision.
Verstappen partnership.
You know,
maybe.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, like I still think it's third place or lower. He has the exit clause, and I think he's probably realized, like, I can get out of here. You know,
look. If it comes to exit clauses, I think
it doesn't matter anyway. Really,
exactly.
You know?
That's what I was going to say. That
even Christian Horner said before.
Yeah.
What was it Christian Horner said before, where he's like, you can't keep a bad marriage together, so it doesn't make any difference. Like, if one wants to leave, it's just a question of how do we do this? Like, it's not, there's no way to stop it. It's just
exactly.
It's just planning the procedure, You know, like,
And exactly,
Yeah.
I think and this was the first time when I actually started thinking on these lines was last race in Canada, where you kind of sense that Max was non-committal when it comes to his future with Red Bull. At the same time, Toto, I think we talked about it a bit where when the whole Toto thing happened, Toto was not really committal when it comes to, criticizing Max. Or was it Yeah, it was Barcelona, sorry. Where
Yeah.
Max basically rammed into George and Toto's like, you know what? This is the similar attitude that Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher used to have. What the fuck are you talking about here? This has nothing to do with it. But yeah, I think maybe it's done. Maybe it's done, and if it is done, I think Horner needs to wake up and smell the roses because it's time to plan for the future. And whoever it is, maybe give a call to Charles Leclerc, give a call to George Russell. I think he's not giving a call to George Russell because the amount of times they've shat on George, both Marco and Horner, I think
Yeah, well, I mean, you say that, but like realistically, like if we're going back to 2021, could you ever see Max being with Mercedes? So things change quickly, like needs must, you know.
Actually, I went through the quotes. Just out of curiosity, the 2021 quotes after every of those. Toto was always very
Toto's not that guy though, is he? He's not a Horner. He doesn't come out and like properly just kind of bash things, say what he's thinking, you know, like he's always very kind of reserved in his remarks, you know.
Seems like it because he did. I think and I think that's what he says right now, that probably the Silverstone 2021, that's where he could have done better. But other than that, I think it seems that the relationship between the Wolves and the Verstappens was never that bad. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're Christian Horner in this situation, what's your play here? Because I see a future where Max is not
probably ensuring that the best people at Milton Keynes have pretty easy exit clauses that you can take to Enstone with you. That's probably what I'm doing if I'm Christian Horner. You know, I'm probably calling up some Saudis and being like, "Hey, you want to help me build Enstone into something? You know, they'll have a Mercedes power unit next year. That'll piss Toto off. You know."
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think so either, but I think it's going to be a weird shotgun marriage style thing at Red Bull because I feel like
I mean I don't think Horner is going anywhere.
Neither do I, but I think this is going to be an issue where what I said last week is if Max goes, then it's inevitable, like the clock starts running on Horner leaving because the board is going to be kind of trying to get rid of him. And my mind has gone, I don't know if that's true now. I think maybe the board has looked at this and thought, fuck, if Horner goes and Max goes, we're screwed. Like the whole team, you know, we're basically looking to sell the team at some point in the near future. Like
two teams.
Yeah. So I don't know, like maybe Horner does stick around and tries to buy the Red Bull team out from under the board at some point, you know, but it's going to be a few years of pain regardless. Like it's going to be some problematic times because you would imagine that if at this late stage, after winning the championship last year, it seemed like it was like, right, we've mustered everything together and we've gotten behind Max and he's won the championship and Max has kind of once again proclaimed his love for the team and like, right, we may have a bad 2025, but we'll stick together and, you know, we'll work through it. It seems like Max basically, Max has kind of decided now he's leaving. That's what it looks like anyway. Maybe we'll be proven wrong on that, but that's what it looks like. And yeah, I think the biggest issue Red Bull's going to have is given that kind of resurgence last year and the planning and everything, the team has probably continued to develop, you know, in the fastest way, which is, you know, really crazy strong front end that only one driver can handle, you know, and that's Max Verstappen. So there's a good chance that like Max leaves and their car next year has all of these bad traits still.
Do you think they'll have I'm not entirely sure that's how they would have approached it because I think
hopefully
in 2025,
because
in 2025 they were basically boxed into a corner. They can't build an entirely new car from 2024,
of course. It's too late. Yeah.
Yeah. And for 2026, they've probably learned the lesson where they've gone about things in a way that, okay, Max, we are going to build a car which both drivers can actually extract something from.
A more balanced car.
It's about time. Yeah, it's about time you start adapting your driving style to it. Now, once that happens, I think if that is even in place, Red Bull is in for at least a year or two of pain when it comes to the Red Bull power.
It's hard
unit.
to do that, yeah. I
Red
mean,
Bull power
we
unit is
literally
the
saw,
concern.
well, that, and also like we saw McLaren go from a very difficult car to drive to a more balanced one, and it took them a good 18 months or so of real pain to get through that phase.
Yeah.
And you would expect that, like, that's in a regulation set where you're already in it. You already have some understanding. This is going blind into a new one. So,
Yeah.
and without a guy like Nui who can kind of tell you, no, these are all the issues you're going to have doing that.
Yeah,
you know,
because
like,
he's been there and done that.
Yeah, like Vache and Balbo, by the way, they got a lot of shit, but look, they've still built what was at a lot of races this year, the second fastest car with their hands tied behind their back in terms of we can't start from scratch again. So I think they should be given a lot of credit, but yeah, like Nui's the guy you want for.
Yeah, look, they should be given a lot of credit, and I think the people who know the sport, they give them credit. It's only honestly, the tribalistic fan base and which is basically as fair weather as it gets. Because the amount of abuse that Verstappen fans these days throw on Horner, I think it's just a flashback.
It's literally Cult LH again.
Yeah,
like,
it's Cult LH doing it to Toto Wolff, and it's the same nonsense right now. Anyways, that's an entirely different thing. I think for me, Horner needs to call both George and Charles and maybe try to
Charles should be the guy he goes for, I think, Absolutely, Charles should be the guy he goes for.
Sell them as bigger plan, as whatever it is called,
Yeah.
Just be the best salesman possible. Because look, even if they think that Arvid Lindblad is the future for them, he's 17 and he's still going to need at least 3 to 4 years to reach the potential.
Yeah,
even it took.
No, Charles Leclerc is. I mean, like realistically, if you're looking at it, Charles Leclerc is the guy to go for, because at the end of the day, if they're like, if Charles looks at it and goes, well, Red Bull's not expected to have a good power unit next year, it's like, sure, but neither is Ferrari. And which team do I trust to turn things around? Probably Red Bull.
Approach, right?
you know, like
I think that's where it's going. But again, there has been zero indication that Horner is doing something on those lines, that there have been talks. The only rumors were with Russell, and they are done.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it comes to Mercedes, I think what Toto has done is Toto has told that Max is the one with which the conversations have happened, and maybe he might come. Toto needs to take a call on whether it's going to be Kimi or
I think it's going to be Max George now.
I don't think so.
I do. I think that's why George is all smirky and smiley. I think he knows it's going to be him.
I think he's smirky and smiley because he knows that Carlos not going to Red Bull, one of the biggest reasons was Max. Max didn't want him there because he didn't get along with him in Toro Rosso. And if Max has a say in who is going to be his teammate, it's probably
going to be Kimi.
To go for Kimi.
Yeah, and ruin Kimi's career, unfortunately.
Who knows? 2007
or
Fernando Alonso.
2014 Vettel.
Yeah, Vettel and
Ricardo. Yeah.
You never know what happens.
Everyone expected Vettel to destroy, like, not to destroy Ricardo, but nobody expected Ricardo to destroy Vettel that year. Yeah. Nobody called that.
Yeah.
I do still find it funny of the people are like like Verstappen's the next Schumacher, and like, Vettel was nowhere near that. And I'm like, you clearly weren't watching in 2013 because everyone expected the same thing.
There are only two groups of people that don't think Vettel was anything, and those two groups of people are Lewis Hamilton fans and Alonso fans. And probably the least
people who weren't watching at the time.
Yeah. So yeah, these are the three groups. And anyways, if I'm Horner right now, if I have to sit down, because look, he's been trying his damnedest that maybe Max stays, and he's still quite belligerent when he's talking to the media that there's a contract, we have an understanding with Max. but I see through all the BS, and I find it hard to actually believe whatever he's saying. So when it comes to that, I think it's eminent that we hear probably by the end of next week, which is going to be the British Grand Prix. We're going to hear something. But yeah, let's see. If I'm Horner, I'm calling both George and Leclerc and basically selling them
I am
selling them the
guessing
dream.
Horner is going to try and like basically say no, like I'm not talking to anyone until you make your decision, Max. Like we're betting on you first, which is probably short-sighted, but I could see the thinking in it of like you want to just play the home card, like we're hoping Max just stays, like, and we'll see. But yeah, honestly, I think if Max leaves, Horner's got bigger problems than the drivers to deal with first off anyway, but I think the problem is, who do you get? Because Charles is the ideal solution. George is a great one. I think the problem is, as you said, George probably doesn't go there. Maybe he does. Maybe it's a case of like, what better options do I have? I know there's Aston Martin, obviously, but I mean, in terms of just like, who do I pick out of the teams right now? Like Red Bull's
these
the only,
two, right?
Yeah.
It's Red Bull and Aston Martin.
And I think Charles won't want to throw in the towel on Ferrari until 2026, which is probably a stupid decision, but I think he's probably going to give them
far too many stupid decisions already in his career. So
he's probably going to give them the kind of the final, like, I'm not going to give up on you before the change type of thing, which is stupidity, to be honest. But yeah,
and that's it. Yeah,
I'm hoping it's Max and George. So I really want it to be Max and George.
If it is Max and George, it will be fun at least. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
The thing is, like, for the first season there, we'll actually get to see how good George is. Because at the moment, there isn't any, like, in play of, like, oh, George just wrangles the whole team to his side type of thing. George is a team player. And it'll take at least a season for the Verstappens to kind of start moving the best people to his side.
Yeah.
So we'll actually get to see, like, okay, how good is George?
If George is in the car next season and Max joins, Max will start the season at a deficit for sure.
Yeah.
You have to assume that,
and no one will want to believe that. So they'll all be like, "Oh well, it's just Mercedes sabotaging Verstappen."
Yeah, I don't know,
because people are morons. But yeah, like it'll be interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think there's one major problem that I think no one is talking about here. I don't care if Mercedes has the best power unit. I think the next season as well
is McLaren.
McLaren is going to be the team to beat.
Because they'll have the same engine.
They have the same engine, and at least for now, Mercedes was 60 seconds behind McLaren in this race. 60 seconds. Then basically, it's second a lap. That's the kind of gap that was there between the two teams.
Yeah.
We are assuming that the team that has built such a brilliant car in these regulations, they're just going to fade away next time around?
No, I think what everyone's assuming is they're assuming that like this is going to be 2014-esque and the Mercedes is going to have the best power unit. And that assumption I didn't think would be a situation before. I thought they would be a lot closer to the engines. I think it's just that Ferrari and Red Bull may have fucked up their engine more than I expected them to, but here we are. But I think you're right. Like the difference is, in 2014, the engine manufacturers would give out, they would still have different mappings. They would still have lagging upgrades. They would still have lagging parts. Now they can't do that anymore. The regulations are simple. Whatever Mercedes is running engine-wise, McLaren don't have to run the exact same version. They can do their changes, but they have to have access to the current engine with the current mappings. So that if Mercedes do build the best engine, McLaren can just use the same engine. The only difference is going to be Mercedes will have the advantage of knowing how to package that engine better than McLaren.
Yeah.
You would think. But McLaren have the next Newey and Rob Marshall. I'm exaggerating, but he is clearly brilliant. And then, they've got Pedromo, they've got Neil Holdy, they've got all this team.
The best in Formula One right now.
And they're correlating their wind tunnel perfectly at the moment, something that Mercedes clearly is still having issues with.
Yeah.
So
they have no clue. They have no clue how
they
the
don't
car
seem
is
to
going
understand
to
at all.
Every Thursday they come to a weekend and they have no clue how the car is going to do.
Yep.
That's where they are. And we are expecting that out of the blue, everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows.
And we know, like, Aston Martin at least now have someone who kind of can figure that out, because, like,
Just
for
look
3
at the car.
seasons, they've just tried to figure that out. And then Newey comes in and goes, yeah, your wind tunnel's off.
Yeah.
And within a few
were-
races, it's just
They,
like,
they finished P7 this race
Mhm.
with Alonso. And
within a few races, he's been able to say, you're going in the wrong direction. This is where you want to go. And you can see it working straight away. And
exactly.
yeah,
Look, for Aston Martin, the only question mark is how the Honda power unit is going to be. And unlike the Europeans, where every day there's a fucking leak, we have no idea what the Japs are doing.
no.
And they've been so secretive, and no one knows how the Honda power unit is. And
The Honda power unit
Who
is
knows?
either going to be way off the pace, or it's going to be up there with the Mercedes. Or anywhere in between. We genuinely have no idea. The
No.
rumors that I've heard are that it's close to the Mercedes, but
It's
that
good.
Audi is slightly ahead. You, I think, said the last week that you've heard that as well, and we're both surprised
it was
by this.
The Ferrari insider that came on the race who said
Hmm.
that according to paddock insiders, Mercedes is at the top, Audi is second, then you have Honda, then you have the Ferrari and Red Bull powertrains
And-
basically at the bottom.
It makes sense why, like, Sauber right now are so, like, determined to make sure that their aero department is in track and that they're all smiley and happy, because maybe they were like, right, this is going to be a 3 or 4 year project. Then all of a sudden it's like, guys, we need to get our shit together because we could have a very good engine next year. You know, like, so maybe that's why it's all kind of, okay, let's get on top of things quicker than we were planning
Exactly.
to. You
And
know,
I think that's
Hulkenberg
where,
world champion, be amazing. But yeah,
I mean, if he gets even if he gets a podium, I'd be
if he gets a
I-
podium
yeah.
next year, yeah.
I'd say 2026 is the greatest season ever if he gets a podium.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the thing that we're seeing with Aston Martin this season as well is, like, they are willing to at least turn things around in the season. So I think next season could be good for Aston Martin, even if they're maybe not the title contenders. There is no reason to think they won't win a race or two next year if they can turn things around a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
they've got the right guy designing the car to at least give them a good basis, where maybe they're not
And
going to win
there's-
because it's too short a
There's
time
Williams
frame.
as well, by the way, which
Mhm.
basically started developing next season's car on January 1.
Yeah, and will have the potentially what looks like to be the best engine
And-
again.
And most importantly, in Jimmy consonants, we trust. So we
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
cannot doubt him. I think you might not have seen it. He signed a long-term extension with Williams.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the way he talks, apparently he put the clip out on the Williams, what was it? The Williams Instagram account, where it's like, there's no other place I want to be.
Yeah.
Except here at Williams, and build this team and take it to greatness. And everyone's sitting there looking at it. What the fuck's going on? It's fine. You've signed a contract extension. Fine. He's the lofty ways in which he kind of, puts things out. It's interesting. It's different. But at least for now, he's not faltered.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, if anyone, we've said this a few times, I think, the last season, like, if anyone else talked the way he does, you'd be like, oh my God, calm down. But he keeps, apart from the last couple of races have been difficult and Sainz is having a tough time, but he seems to deliver on everything he says. He's like, by the way, we're going to have a shit season at the start of 24, but we'll turn it around. And he did, and then it's like, oh, we should have a strong 2025, but we're going to focus on 2026. Exactly
doing
where
that.
they are. Like, so when he says, no, we'll be fighting in 2026, at the moment, as much as that seems like a ridiculous notion,
Yeah.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because,
Yeah. And coming back to the silly season, because I honestly didn't expect that this race weekend was going to be all about silly season. What does George do?
I mean, ideally he replaces Lance Stroll. That's the ideal situation, right?
I
Like,
look like a genius.
I
I
you
stop
will.
calling myself the casual fan.
Yeah, start calling yourself the intense fan. Yeah.
The hardcore fan.
Well, actually, let me go back. Ideally, he stays with Mercedes. That's the ideal situation for him. If he can't stay at Mercedes, I think the smartest move is try and get into Lance Stroll's seat. Like, I feel like Lance Stroll has finally checked out, but the problem is Lance may stick around for 2026 anyway, because why wouldn't you?
Who knows?
But it's a stupid move anyway, because if you stick around for 2026, no matter who your teammate is, you're losing the championship, even if they have the best car by a mile. You know, like there's if it's Alonso, you're screwed. Like, you know, that's it. If it's George, you're screwed. It's like if it's Franco Colapinto, you're screwed. I mean, unless they put Logan Sargent in alongside him, and even then, you're probably
You're
screwed.
basically bringing someone like a Max Chilton out of retirement to
yeah.
just
You're getting Jolyon Palmer off the commentary
Anthony
box.
Davidson. Or Jolyon Palmer.
You know, and even then, you're probably still screwed.
Yeah. I don't know what the thought process is when it comes to Aston Martin, where they keep putting him in the team and they are investing this much money and they want to be the best, but you have probably the worst driver in Formula One right now in one of the teams.
That's the thing. For a long time, there was some really poor drivers in Formula One where you could kind of go, well, Lance isn't the worst. This season, it's like, no, he's the
There's zero
worst.
doubt.
There's
There's
no
zero
other
doubt.
driver.
Yeah. Once Joe Guan Yu left, it was basically him.
Yeah.
And that's where they end up. It's a bit strange.
I would
don't
say
know.
Joe would beat him, to be honest, but we disagree on that. Yeah.
I think Joe is still going to be fine.
Alonso, by the way, can we just point out, I keep continuously, whenever I point out that Hamilton has just lost it, enough is enough kind of thing. I know this race, he wasn't horrible, but still not Hamilton of old or anything. And then every time I bring that up, people are like, oh, why aren't you talking about Alonso? I'll tell you why. Shit like this, the way he defended against that fucking young kid behind him who we know is a fast driver, the way he used...
He knows. He manages him.
Yeah. But he used the lapped cars, he used the blue flags, he positioned his car perfectly. Nothing was left on the table. And it's like, I'm sorry, I said earlier this season, it's been 5 or 6 races. He's clearly struggling with the car for some reason, but he clearly will come back and work on it. And here we are. That is why I don't dig at Alonso, because Alonso's still driving like he was when he was 20. So, fuck it.
This race was something. It was something. The way
he's still brilliant.
Yeah.
He leaves nothing on the table. It's all, he is one of the few drivers on the grid where I go, no, the reason he's not winning is because of the car. There's no other reason. If he had the Red Bull or the McLaren, he would have won a couple of races this season.
100%.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
100%.
In fact, if he was in Oscar Piastri C, he would be leading the championship right now.
And Lando would have retired.
Yeah, because he would have been driven to madness. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, being Fernando Alonso's teammate is not easy. It's mentally taxing.
The only way to beat Fernando Alonso as their teammate is to have the team completely cheat and destroy his reputation from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And have Ron Dennis as the teammate, or the team boss, basically.
Yeah. That's an entirely different thing. First, let's talk about Ferrari, because
also, by the way, I should just point out, this was also one of my favorite races this season because Bernie Ecclestone was on the podium.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Even I saw that.
Beautiful.
Funny, isn't it? I mean, they keep bringing shady bastards.
Flavio's on the pit wall. Bernie's on the podium.
By the way, Bernie has an ongoing case going against him.
Which one? I'm sure there's thousands of them.
Apparently, he was carrying a weapon or something.
He carried a gun on the airport. He had a gun on his private jet, I think, landing in Brazil, basically.
Not in private jet, in his luggage.
I'm pretty sure
it was commercial.
But I'm pretty sure it was was it commercial?
That's
I assumed it was his private jet.
Ideally he should, but
yeah.
I think in private jet you can carry.
He's a billionaire. He can do whatever he wants. He'll get some headaches, some newspapers, a slap on the wrist, and he'll walk away with it. That's the beauty of being a billionaire. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Plus, he's
coming back.
He's 904 years old or something. He can do what he wants.
94. He's 93, 94, and just had a kid, didn't he? I think
so, yeah. And he's showing up to races on the podiums. Yeah. The man's a legend. The man is an absolute legend. Yeah.
Coming back to Ferrari, by the way.
Coming back to the opposite of legendary. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Fred Vasseur leaving mid-race weekend. Again, they've said it's personal reasons.
His personal reasons are he's looking for another job, or
he's just done.
Maybe.
I think it came out recently that there the 3 publications that actually wrote the whole thing about his position being in danger. The 2 of them, Gazzetta and Courier, both of them have, I think, John Elkann as a shareholder. So he kind of had his hand behind the whole thing happening. And it's first of all, it would be foolish that they do that. But second, it's so true to
It's
form.
Ferrari. Yeah.
Especially after the way he lashed out. It's hilarious. Other than that, I think the car performance this time, they flattered in a way because other teams had a shitty one. Mercedes was nowhere. Mercedes was basically as fast as Sauber.
Mercedes was
funny.
nowhere. Tsunoda was nowhere. And Verstappen literally was nowhere because he got taken out with 3 corners
and Kimi
in.
and Rally as well. So Ferrari was basically in a no man's land. And
and Williams weren't there either to fight. So
I completely forgot. Both of them just retired, right? Albon was running and he was P4 or he was P5, P6 behind George. And all of a sudden I see him being rolled into the garage. What the fuck happened here? But it's Williams. Williams is going through some very weird shit these days.
What's weird is they had some engine issues as well. And it's like, you're driving the Mercedes engine. Like, what's happening here? But
and when will the McLaren engine fail? Because at least, we need at least a couple of them
Rob
to
Marshall
fail.
we trust. Rob Marshall is the next Newey.
Yeah, he is the current Newey.
And
look, we need at least a couple of McLaren power units to fail to actually have a championship where it's not only Lando and Oscar. But coming back to Ferrari, apparently they brought a set of upgrades. They're bringing another set in Silverstone and then the final in Spa. I think for them it's done. The way
I don't know why they're bringing upgrades. Like what are they doing?
I think the same, because what's the point? The car is done and it's rubbish.
Like, bring upgrades if you're just like, if they're trying to fight anything in the championship, it's like, guys, like, give up, put the money and time into next year.
Yeah,
but like if they were bringing upgrades to say, look, clearly we have a development correlation issue like Mercedes do, like Aston did. We're bringing upgrades just to check that that's fixed before 2026. I'd be like, oh, reasonable, pragmatic, fine. It's what Aston's doing and it's working for them. It's a good idea. But if you're bringing upgrades to go like, no, we're still in this title fight. It's like, not only are you stupid, you're also delusional. This is a problem. Like, guys, sort your shit out. Yeah. It's just, this team almost won the fucking Constructors' Championship last year. Like, what are you doing? Like, it just...
They convinced me that Charles Leclerc would be fighting for the championship this season.
They convinced all of us. Genuinely, like, this was the first season in a long time where Matty from P1 going, next year's going to be our year, didn't seem like a ridiculous idea. It seemed like, I was like, you know what, Matt? You might be in for it this year.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure I haven't listened to that podcast in a while now. Not because of anything against them. It just... we've been doing our stuff and I'm quite busy, but
ours is better.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but those guys do. It's one podcast. I really like Tommy as well. It's really good, But I imagine he's in a world of pain right now. Like,
I mean, by now he's basically he's made a habit out of it, isn't it? It's not the first time that he's actually gone through it.
Yeah.
But I don't get it because I think you might not have even caught on to this thing. Lewis Hamilton saying that for the 2026 car, he's basically spearheading it. He's trying to build the car more towards his driving style.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Because the last time he built the car for Mercedes, George beat him in every race basically. So he's probably going to accidentally build Leclerc a championship winning car.
And I won't get my hopes high on when it comes to that. Yeah, but for me, it's like, when did the driving style thing or the way the car is built become this big a thing? And especially for Lewis, because, look, Lewis, I think you've also seen his entire career. I've seen the whole thing. I've never seen a Formula One car in Lewis Hamilton's career where he's found it hard to get used to.
No, until 2022, he up until that point, he was able to just drive the car. 2002, you could kind of give him a little bit of leeway because both drivers found it difficult to drive. And I think it was clear George was going to do better just because George came from a Williams. So he was used to driving pieces of shit. So he was fine, Yeah, I don't know. I just think, look, it seems to me just like, again, I'd hate to bring the Alonso thing into it, but with Hamilton, it's like, it's this back and forth of like, oh, well, there's something wrong with the car. I'm not changing my driving style, whatever. With Alonso, it's just like, this car's a piece of shit, you need to change it. And in Alonso's case, it's like, he was right, and now he's driving fine. Whereas with Hamilton, it's kind of like, but your teammate's driving the car fine. You know, Alonso, when he comes out, he's like, oh, the car's difficult to drive, but I've just adapted to it. He hasn't gone on this run for ages. This is the first time we've seen him do that, and things have changed. Whereas with Hamilton, this is now the 4th season where it's like, car shit needs to be changed completely. It's like, yeah, but your teammate is outperforming you.
Yeah.
So like that would be fine if Hamilton was absolutely destroying Leclerc. Then it's like, oh, okay, well then this guy knows what way the car should be going. But you know, you're not beating your teammate.
These are serious questions when it comes to your adaptability to a car, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is 4th year, and it's been a huge surprise because again he's come up to it and said that next year again I'm going to be the car should be more towards my style. He's blamed the car for not being what you couldn't dance with the car. What was the quote?
He said it's like a car that can't dance or something. There's no rhythm. Basically. Yeah.
And you have Leclerc on the other side. And again, Leclerc was questioned the same thing. And he said that, look, my only requirement is build the fastest car. I'll adapt my style to it.
Well, Leclerc,
in short, that's what he said.
I mean, look, the same arguments I have for like why the car is so difficult for other drivers in Max's hands could also be mapped over to maybe Leclerc as well, because Leclerc has been kind of the lead de facto driver for years now, so they're going to map everything towards
Ferrari,
him,
isn't it? Because
this is the thing,
with Carlos Sainz there. Because look, the only car where I've seen Leclerc be comfortable, and when it comes to Ferrari, it's the 2022 car, the first half of the season.
But also his driving style is not as extreme, and they didn't go fully down that road, you know. So like
maybe they should have.
Maybe, yeah, but Leclerc does just show up, and like. We've seen this over and over again. Sorry about someone mowing the lawn straight outside. I probably hear. Typical. But yeah, Leclerc has shown up and just FP1 every session. Just leave the car the way it is. Give me the fastest
said
setup.
That, right? He said that Leclerc doesn't touch the setup. Yeah, so even Lewis said that this weekend that Leclerc does not change anything on the car from F2 until qualifying.
Because he knows Ferrari aren't capable of figuring things out. So he's just like, guys, look, whatever seems to be the quickest according to the data you had coming into the weekend, give me that. And please don't fuck with anything because you're not capable of it. Like, you know, just... I
seriously think, right, that if Leclerc had gone to a team with a more capable leadership, how he would have fared. Because this is him. He has 7 or 8 race wins in his career. And this is not because of Ferrari. This is despite Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's definitely the whole thing. It's, yeah.
You have to say, I am just glad, though, that this is kind of giving, giving a lot of credence the idea that we said for years, which was that, look, if Vettel lost 2017 and 2018, not because Vettel was a bad driver, but because he was driving for Ferrari. And Hamilton fans were like, no, Vettel threw that away. You're like, well, welcome to Ferrari, you know. I hope you're enjoying it now.
Car adaptability. And by the way, it was pointed to me by a Lewis Hamilton fan. Sharia pointed it to me. Very basically send that code. And okay, fine, let's see. And everyone is kind of picking up on it that next season again, they come in with this whole thing that, okay, this car, Lewis has put a lot of input into it. It's according to his driving style. What happens if Leclerc is still the faster driver? Then what?
What do you mean, what happens?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did you say if? I meant when. Like, you meant when, right? He's going to be quicker. Like, he's just going to
I think so, yeah.
Unless he's driving at a different team, hopefully. But otherwise, he's, you know.
Hopefully, I mean, that happens. That's the biggest positive. By the way, even if we talk about Lewis, he has improved a lot this season as well. Not even this in last 4 or 5
He's
races.
been good. Yeah. Like, it just,
if he keeps this level, it's fine. But yeah, let's see. Again, he also said that if he had qualified better.
It's good. It just honestly, like, it just goes back to what I said earlier. As exciting as this was, like, the switch to Hamilton was just ultimately a pointless game. There was no reason for it. The stocks went up because of Ferrari having a good quarter and hiring Hamilton, not one. Like, sorry, Hamilton fans, but Lewis Hamilton signing alone did not move the fucking stock up by 6%. So, believe what you want. They could have. The problem they're in now is they've not only hired a driver that is seemingly just having the same issues that he had before anyway, they've also hired a driver that is very much on a clock now of leaving the sport. So, like, if you're going to remove Sainz, why not put someone in who's going to be the future? Like, bring your Behrman up or whatever, just say, look, Sainz, we don't trust in you for the future, the long-term future. So we're bringing Behrman up, or we're going to try and sign this superstar Kimi Antonelli as the next Italian driver or something.
Yeah.
But like hiring a marketing asset who can't deliver anything better than Leclerc just seems to me like a Ferrari move. Like,
it is a Ferrari move, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said last year repeatedly, I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope Hamilton comes in and it's an absolute masterclass by him. But it's performing like it's working out exactly as I expected.
Yeah. Let's see. By the way, if he keeps up his qualifying form the way he has,
if he qualifies better, you're saying he might win?
No, he was within a 10th. He was within a 10th, right? I think.
If he qualified better, he might have been on the podium.
Yeah. By the way, his move on George on the first lap was stunning.
It was
the
very good,
sector third. That was brilliant. That was
if George had a faster car.
Yeah. Moving on, let's talk about midfield real quick. First of all, I think one thing that has actually impressed me when it comes to the entire midfield is all of these drivers have their cars which are so close to each other. It's literally coming down to how good a day a driver has.
Yeah.
That's how. And that is one of the reasons why Alonso is consistently scoring points. And I think he might have jumped Lance by now, or maybe both are on the same points, 14-14.
He's definitely jumped Lance, right? Surely.
He might have, yeah. And check it out.
Mm-hmm. No, he hasn't. 14-14, you're right.
Yeah, so there maybe one more race. Let's give it a race. Also, Liam Lawson finally getting his due. A P6 finish, and especially now when there is actually a lot of talk about them going with Arvid Lindblad for the next season. If Lawson keeps this up, I think it will become very interesting because Lawson has outqualified Hadjar a couple of times in the last few races. And if he keeps this up, he continues to perform, brings big results. What is Red Bull going to do? Because they are, without a doubt, Red Bull is going to bring Arvid Lindblad into Formula 1 next season. So who goes is something which is going to be...
Lawson, definitely, anyway. Just Depends. On the basis... Well, no, because just on the basis that Red Bull don't go back. So...
In terms of who goes to Racing Bulls, I'm saying.
No, I know that. But my point is, your basic decision is, are we ever promoting Lawson? No. So...
Yeah, but if Lawson proves to be a better bid than Isaac, then what?
It's Isaac's first season, Do
you think they think that logically? I mean, at least...
Well, they might, because they're bringing in Sebastian Vettel to replace Helmut Marko. So
yeah.
So
that would be a good thing.
It would be nice to have a pragmatic German, in charge.
Yeah, I think it does seem, by the way, if you've... I've started being a bit more on Instagram, so Vettel keeps popping up. He was in Amazon last few days or months, whatever it is. It seems he's finally being fed up of saving the environment or the world.
Well, just driving
He's
around.
Like he can't do jack. It seems that he can't do jack, and he's like, okay, let's at least let me follow my passion, because that's the least I can do. But yeah, that's where he is right now. And if you've checked the midfield situation, the entire points standings right now, from P5 till P10, anyone can finish anywhere. It depends entirely on momentum.
Yeah.
The way it is going. Because Williams was at P5 and it was thanks to Albon having some stunning races in the start of the season. Now he should have had a good one this time around as well, but it was entirely down to the car blowing up. You don't know. Williams, Aston Martin, Haas or Racing Bulls, you don't know which is going to be at the top.
It's very, very close. It looks like it's going to... At the front, it looks like McLaren's going to pull away now. But apart from that, it's really close. And even behind that with Red Bull, like there's going to be weekends where Ferrari will be quicker, maybe. There's going to be... There's definitely
second, right?
There's definitely going to be weekends where the Mercedes is quickest, So it's still going to be a fun season. You just have to readjust for... It's probably going to be...
Seriously. But Max Verstappen fans...
Oh, this is a much better season than seasons in the past. Like, this is way better than 2023, for example, where we had basically nothing happening. This is way better than 2020 when it was just Lewis Hamilton, like, dominating apart from one race or two races. So this is a good season,
Yeah.
Now, and at least we're getting a title fight. Like at the very least,
most importantly, I think
it might be inter-team, but at least we're getting a title fight.
I mean, that's what I'm hanging on to when it comes to next season as well. Because look, the cars might be shit, and Leclerc has said, by the way, that he tested in the simulator and they aren't that good. He's not impressed.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you have what's his name? James Vowles being very positive about the 2026 regulation. So even if we have, if you're assuming that Mercedes has the best power unit, we will have a strong McLaren. I don't doubt it anymore.
Yeah.
And a strong Mercedes. These two teams being strong means you have Oscar Piastri, Norris. I don't know who is at Mercedes, but at least 4 drivers that could potentially put on a challenge for the title. Yeah. Once you have that, at least you have something to look forward to.
Yeah. So, it doesn't seem like it's going to be just a one-trick pony year. So
yeah, it's not going to be 2014, which is my main hope.
That's what at the moment that's what it seems like anyway.
Yeah.
Let's wait until the first race, but it does seem that way. Should we jump onto British Grand Prix predictions?
Let's get it done. Yeah. Okay, so I being a good person, I actually checked the weather forecast as well. It doesn't seem that it's going to rain this time around. So
Britain,
it's going to
no
be dry.
rain, really,
and hot.
Well,
so
oh god,
advantage McLaren apparently.
Yeah.
But again, I won't count out Red Bull here because the fast speed sections are a lot of them. They might be able to do something. And if you have to make what would be your pecking order predictions if you have to make one?
McLaren definitely. I think especially like they seem like they've kind of got the car even faster now and under control, balanced. But I think Red Bull will be close. Then again, I did think Red Bull will be close this weekend. I guess they were. We didn't get to see realistically, but we
didn't see anything.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be McLaren, Red Bull, probably Mercedes after that, then Ferrari. I think is the. I also do think the Williams will be kind of closer to the top 4 in Silverstone. I think it'll be interesting to watch
as well. You never know. Let's see what happens. Because
what about you? Do you think the top 4? That order, or you think it's something?
As somewhat similar, I think McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, maybe, but again, it depends on how hot it is. Because if it is too hot, then they are fucked. Because last time around, Lewis won the race here, and I think they were on. They started on the front row, right? George and Lewis.
Yeah.
Wrong. So the car.
George is at the water leak. Remember? Yeah.
Look, if it is cold, then maybe Mercedes might even jump to the front. But if that's not the case, then I think it's more or less expected that McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari is not going to be that good because the fast speed sections is not, long corners is not their speciality apparently. So
yeah.
That's who's going to win. Top 3.
It's going to be kind of boring, but I'm going to say Lando, Oscar, George. That's what I think. I think Max will be there, but I think everything we've said is like, I do think Max is just kind of starting to lose interest with this, and we haven't really seen that before. So I'm not sure where to put him. I can't think of a time when even before 2021, when the Red Bull was never like really the fastest car, apart like a few races it was, but even when it wasn't going for a win, he was also always pushing the car to get the best result. This is the first time I've seen a Max where he's like, don't really care. You know? So
I agree. By the way, this is going to piss off a lot of fans, a lot of our viewers as well. But I do think I agree. I think he's phoning it in to a certain extent, but let's see. Yeah, I think I'll go with Oscar winning this one.
Okay.
Probably because the fast speed sections, there are a lot of them. And while we've seen Lando get a hold of the braking, we've not seen how he'll do in the fast speed sections. And that's where he kind of makes the errors.
Yeah.
So at least there's still a cloud. I think Oscar, Lando, and I'd go with Max this time.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be a cold race, at least for now. The forecast could change within the
Wait, whoa. Are you saying the car has something to do with how drivers perform?
Oh, yeah.
All the Verstappen fans are telling me it's nothing to do with the car. Oh, sorry, it is to do with the car when the car is performing badly. That's what I meant to say. But when the car's doing well, it's all Max.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you're saying Oscar, Lando, Max, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because the hotter temperatures mean Mercedes will not be that big a factor.
Cool. Yeah. Oh,
Cool.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
I guess that's it, right?
Thank you. Do drop a comment. What do you think? Don't be... Actually, no. Be vicious with Jason. Drop a comment and let us know what you think. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you bunch of bastards. Good luck.